Welcome to Creepy Joe's Horror Show! With special guest, Slip Rick the Skeleton.
It's not my fault the babes like me, man.
Also, Flo.
Perverts.
And don't forget about your legendary loser host himself, Creepy Joe.
Welcome to Creepy Joe's Horror Show. Tonight we have Basket Case from 1982.
A young man carrying a big basket that contains his deformed Siamese twin brother seeks vengeance on the doctors who separated them against their will.
Alright, so Basket Case, 1982. This is a pretty known movie, for the ones that I normally do. Some of them are a little more underground, I guess you could say, but Basket Case is a pretty popular movie from the 80s. And with good reason, because it's awesome. Directed by Frank Henenlotter. I hope I'm saying that right. Probably not, because I had the same problem when I, reviewed Brain Damage, because he did that too. Not only did he do Brain Damage, but he also is responsible for Frankenhooker and a few other, not too many actually, so it's not really a whole lot to say about him. But this movie's awesome, and there's even a part in Brain Damage where they show, Dwayne from this movie with the basket in the subway. It's like an Easter egg, which I thought was pretty neat that they did that. And speaking of Dwayne, this is going to be a rough one. Kenan Van Hentenryck, I think. If you saw the spelling of that, I'm actually going to throw it up there. You tell me what that says, because I don't know. But main character, and then you have Beverly Bonner. Actually, I think it's Bonner. Bonner. Could be, but I don't know. Beverly Bonner. It's Casey, who's like kind of the other only, like his neighbor, Dwayne's neighbor. But she's pretty much a main character. And then Terry Susan Smith as Sharon, who is basically Dwayne's girlfriend, sort of. But anyway, this movie is great, and it is a horror comedy, categorized such as. So it's not me saying it's a horror comedy when it really isn't. It is one, and it's fantastic. The basis of the movie, okay, which you don't know this right away, but you kind of you catch on after he tells the story. But you have this man carrying around a basket. Well, actually, let's go a little further back. At the very beginning, you have a doctor getting murdered by some unknown creature that you don't really know what it is, but it doesn't seem human. So then it goes like flash into like some other time area, some other whatever. The story starts after that scene, and it's just a regular man, Dwayne, walking around with this basket in New York City, and he's renting a hotel.
I'm trying to get some sleep, but that guy above me has gone crazy.
Just temporarily, he has all this money on him, and basically, the basis of this movie is they're trying to, man, how do I say this? He's carrying around his conjoined twin, who was cut from him at some point when he was young, and he carries it around with him and takes care of it since his aunt died, and his aunt was the only one that really cared for them. But this conjoined twin is a murderer, and it's like a freak, it's like a blob. And I gotta tell you, some of the greatest scenes in cinema history are from this movie. The stop motion and the clay animation, all the different special effects that they use are so shittily done that they're great, if you know what I mean. It's so funny seeing the stop motion every time, the brother comes out of the basket, and then his eyes light up red. It's fantastic. But the basis is they're going around trying to find and punish all the medical staff that was involved in separating them, because the father, who the brother kills way early on, he cuts him in half with a saw. He just wanted to discard the twin that was cut off, who's only about this big. But, well, yeah. And so the brother carries him around in a basket, and they just, they go around, and I don't think that the brother really realized that he was out murdering all these doctors and medical staff. He's just trying to go visit them to kind of like let them know, like, yeah, you're the one who separated me from my brother. But the brother's killing them, at night and whatever. And it's just great. I mean, the kills are great. He pretty much just bear hugs their faces and like bites them, I guess, bites their faces, and it's pretty creative in a weird way. But he ends up, the normal looking brother, the one that's carrying him around, Dwayne, ends up, and I can't give a name to the one that got detached, the killer brother, because I don't know if it does have a name, but I forget. If I figure it out, I'll put it up there. But from watching it, one or two times in my life, I don't remember the name. And that's okay, because it doesn't matter anyway. You can just call him Bob for, it doesn't matter. The whole point is it's, I wouldn't call it creepy, but it's weird. It's hilarious of what goes on. And Dwayne ends up meeting Sharon, who's like, she becomes when they're visiting one of the doctors that they're plotting the murder, well, the brother's plotting the murder, the receptionist, Sharon, ends up asking Dwayne out on a date. They get together, but they have certain abilities where the Blob brother, he can talk to Dwayne like telepathically, like he's always in his head. Dwayne can't do that to him, but if he like touches a girl or gets excited or gets sad, like they can feel each other's emotions. So, Dwayne has to like sneak away to see Sharon and try to have this relationship. He falls in love with her. He has to sneak it from, the Blob, because the Blob brother will, murk her right away, real quick, because he's jealous. And I don't think he has, male parts to enjoy himself. And he's jealous of the older brother falling in love, and partly probably because he doesn't want anyone taking him away from him. Understandable. But he ends up falling in love, and the Blob brother ends up he ends up murdering all the doctors and their own. I don't think any of them are really unique. I think that he just kills them all the same way. And the dad was different though. That was with a saw blade. But he ends up killing the girlfriend. And it ends up that they get in a big fight over it at the end in the hotel, and they end up, the Blob brother grabs Dwayne by the balls and picks him up and basically throws him out the window, and they go out the window together, and then they both fall to their death onto the sidewalk, and that's pretty much the movie. But there's a lot more to it, man, as you know. I mean, I can't fit it all into a 10-minute video, but that's the basis of it, and it's fantastic. So, memorable moments are all the kills, or anytime. My favorite parts are when they show him climbing out of the basket. And you know, the stop motion stuff is, you know, I live for that stuff. That's what I want to see in all these movies. And this one had a lot of it, and that's why I really like this movie. And there is a second one too, by the same director, I believe, and everything. I haven't seen the second one, but I really was only interested in covering this one for now because it is the first one, and maybe we'll do the second one later, but not this October. And speaking of that, well, before I get to Tubi and all the free movies on it, I'm going to rate this a solid 4 out of 5. This is fantastic. And you know, this generation, you know, the younger generation, Gen Z, I'll say, they might not like this movie because it's kind of slow paced and it's really cheesy for today's standards. And it was even cheesy in the 80s. But it's really slow paced and there's not a lot of like bam, 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 like stuff going on. So like these kids will fall asleep. It's almost like watching a Kubrick film at the beginning because it's really slow. But it's awesome, and as you guys know, patience always pays off, and it's worth watching. This movie, all these movies that I'm showing, that I'm talking about this month, are all free on Tubi. For those of you that don't follow along nightly, these are all free on Tubi, on the Tubi app. As long as you have internet connection, you can watch any one of these for free. I wanted to do this for my own sake to kind of explore some different movies that I hadn't seen growing up, and there's plenty of them. I could do movies I've seen all day, you know, like all the Halloweens and what everyone else is doing. But who hasn't seen Halloween, man? I mean, come on. Who hasn't seen The Exorcist? Who hasn't seen, you know, Carrie, even though that's one of my favorite movies of all time. But I figure, like, let's get down to these kind of, you know, underground movies that had low budgets and they created ideas for future horror fanatics and filmmakers. This is one of them, and I love every second of it. But every single one of these movies you can watch for free on Tubi, and there's no excuse. If you have a phone, you can watch them. And I think it's a fun idea to do for the Halloween season because this is like a legitimate good list. Everything that I've showed on here, I would watch these movies again. Maybe a few of them were like questionable, but I'm glad I watched them all at least once because they're worth seeing. And you know, that's how you kind of expand your dimension, is by experiencing new things. If you're just going to watch the same movies over and over again just because they were cool, how did you see them? You saw them, apparently, you know, you watched them for the first time. So check these out, and they're all free, and you know, you can enjoy it with I don't know, I wouldn't watch any of these with kids, but you know, make your girlfriend watch them, and you know, or your boyfriend, and you know, if you're really into them, they'll think you're lame, just like I am. So thank you for watching, and you know, check out Basket Case from 1982. You won't regret it. It's legendary. It's a cult classic. You know, this movie isn't an unknown. You know, most horror fanatics have seen it. So if you haven't, check it out and stay creepy.